This episode of the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast is brought to you by the Podcast Reach System. Are you ready to exponentially reach more profitable customers? Launching and hosting your own show is your proven best solution for networking, client attraction, and establishing your celebrity expert brand. Visit www.podcastreachsystem.com and claim your rightful place as the leading star of your industry so you make a difference for your community, market, and audience. Welcome to the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast. Join us as we celebrate entrepreneurs, business creators, and brilliant minds who reveal what they are doing to make the world a better place by being part of it. Be sure to visit our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now sit back, lean in, tune in, get your notepad and 2 pens ready, and let's get started.
My name is Adam Homey. I am your host. I am honored by your wise decision to tune in and invest in yourself today. Right now, we are speaking with Jodi Krangle, who's a voice actor, host of the audio branding podcast, and media geek. We've had a lot of geeks hanging around the Brilliance Plus Passion project.
There are a lot of us.
And I'm glad that I'm finding my people. That's what I find really awesome. So just to tell you a little bit about Jodi before we dive in, she's been a voice actor since 2007, has worked with clients from major brands all over the world, including Dell, BBVA, and Kraft. She's also a singer and has put out her own album of jazz, blues, and traditional tunes. Over the years, in doing what she does, she's learned a lot about sound and how it influences people. So she does have a podcast. It's called Audio Branding, The Hidden Gem of Marketing. And you can visit our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com. Check out this episode. If you're not already on our website, you can see the link to her music album. You can see the link to her podcast. You can see the link to her vocals business, plus some social media. She's got a lot of things going on. But right now, we have her here on Brilliance Plus Passion. So, Jodi, welcome aboard.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. So the first question is, how does the work you do make the world a better place for your clients, customers, and the world at large?
Well, I help my clients and those that are interested about it to understand the importance of sound, how important that is to their business and their brand and their everyday life. So it's not something that should be an afterthought. And if I've helped people be a little more conscious and intentional with that in their lives, listening, using sound, understanding how it reflects on their business and their brand, then I'd say that's a win.
That's awesome. So I gave a bit of a preview of what it is you actually do. And one of the things I'm particularly interested in right now is a bit more about the voiceover stuff.
Okay.
So if you could tell us a bit more about how that works for our listeners, because in the Reach system and in our Everything Podcasting Facebook group, we get a lot of questions about where do I find a voiceover artist and what do I need to know about that?
Well, you can contact me.
Yes.
but yeah, I work mostly in the realm of commercials and corporate narrations. So I don't tend to do the more quote glamorous work of animation and video games and audiobooks. I'm more into the advertising end of things, which is why I started the podcast, because that again deals more with the advertising end of things and the wider spectrum of why sound affects us and how it affects us. But yeah, it's usually, well, it's always my intention to be a part of my client's audio brand, making sure that the people around them experiencing their brand understand who they are through the use of sound and the use of my voice as a part of their sound.
Great. In your experience, what are a few of the most common questions? Let's call them the frequently asked questions that people have while they're going through their journey of deciding to work with you.
I get asked a lot how people can get into voiceovers. Like their mom has told them they have a really nice voice and, and they'd like to know how they can do it. And so I do get asked that a lot, and I have some answers for that one. But I also get commonly asked what I charge, because of course, people want to know what it costs.
Yep.
And then I get asked a lot, what have people heard me on?
Right. Oh,
You know, all the
I can
time.
imagine. Yeah. And
Yeah.
the thing about what do I charge? I can imagine because there are some really good people who do this who promote it through Fiverr. Now, not that that's a bad thing, and we have people who follow this show who do
Sure.
that, and I
hmm
commend them.
Yeah.
However, what you do is a bit different. There's a different science to it. There's a different methodology to it.
Yeah.
Plus, a view of your website would show that you take it in some different angles, particularly with your emphasis on the advertising aspect of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a location called the GVAA Rate Guide. And
Yeah.
if people are interested in the industry standards of what voiceover people should be charging, they can go check out that rate guide. And it gives people a breakdown based on the media. So if it's
Hmm.
TV, radio, online, whatever, streaming media, etc., how
Right.
long it'll be used. So 6 months and a year, and also how large the audience is, so local, regional, national. And it's all broken down by that, but you can liken it a lot to music licensing. Really,
Right.
it has to do with how long you're using it and how many people are hearing it. And how much money is it going to make you?
Right. That's something I've really barely heard of.
hmm
In most of the work that we do, people pay for one-time short clips of the idea they'll just simply be used in perpetuity.
Yeah.
What often happens is the voiceover artist gets referenced in the commercial notes at the end, so
hmm
they get perpetual recognition for having done the voiceover.
Yeah. When it comes to broadcast, I don't give perpetual usage ever. And the
Yeah.
reason that I don't is because if some larger company came to me and said, "Can you give me exclusivity?" then I can't say that I can. And for whatever amount I was paid for that in perpetuity, that means I'm losing out on thousands and thousands of dollars potentially from a client I can't give exclusivity for because I
Yeah.
did this spot 3 years ago.
Right, right,
So
right.
that's, yeah.
So again, I wanted to bring this out just to differentiate the work that you do
hmm
versus what some other folks do. And what they do is great. In fact, we do work with some
hmm
folks who do simple audio recordings, and it's available in perpetuity.
Yeah.
And the idea is just for this one small thing. It's a 30-second clip, and
hmm
yeah. But see, you look at it just from a different angle. So I want people to just understand that there are options out there,
Yeah.
and to know what resources are available to them.
hmm
Now, what are a couple questions you wish people would ask? I imagine one of them would be with the perpetuity question.
Yeah, that's probably one of them. But I would love to be asked how a company could be more intentional with their sound, like how I would
Yeah.
fit into their branding. And I would love to be asked how fast I can deliver those voiceovers because that is a
Hmm.
part of my service. I can often deliver that audio to a client in a half an hour.
Yeah.
So, it depends, but yeah, I work very quickly. And
Right.
I want to be asked if I wanna hear the music that's gonna go behind the spot. And the reason that I want to be asked that is because as a musician, hearing the music that's gonna go behind a spot gets me exactly to the tone they need in, like, a snap.
Right.
Yeah. So it just makes my job a lot easier, and once I know their music choices, it gives me emotional context.
Right. That's awesome.
Mhm.
So let's shift gears for a moment.
Mhm.
And this is where we have the opportunity to get to know Jodi a bit more as a person. This is the fun part of the Brilliance Plus Passion Project. What would people who know you be
Mhm.
surprised and would be surprised to learn about you?
Well, it depends on how well they know me, but I am a Dungeons& and Dragons nerd, so
Okay.
I play that on a regular basis and love it, and it's a fantastic way to improve in improv, actually, because you're improving throughout the whole game. It's really fun that way. But I also got my first computer in 1986, so I've been on a computer for a long time, and I've been on the internet since 1995. So I
Same year
have
I
a
joined.
yeah. So I
I
have a
discovered email.
yes. Oh my goodness. I had a website in 1995.
I probably
So
had a GeoCity site at that point too. It had my shout out to my boys and my
yeah.
pictures of my bitchin' Camaro and tributes to all the ladies and all this other
Uh-huh.
wannabe player freshman college stuff going on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a songwriting resource. It was called The Muse's Muse, and I actually
Yeah.
had that from 1995 until 2016. It was
Mhm.
online for a long, long time. And yeah, so that was my baby during the beginning years of the internet, and
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. By the way, Bitchin' Camaro is actually the name of a song. And
Okay.
my GeoCities website had the very amateur technology that was available back in the 1990s to take
Mhm.
short wave files and have them play when the page loaded. And
Yeah.
boy, I thought that was hot, along with the GIF animation of the little cartoon Camaro that went right
Yeah.
below it.
Yeah. I actually had a radio show through the website for, using real audio of all things. Back in 2002, I was co-producing a independent songwriter, basically a radio show online,
Yeah.
right around when Live 365 was a thing. Although it was just
Yeah.
on my website, it wasn't,
Uh-huh.
so I've been doing this a long time, like you.
Yeah. Ah. Yeah. So what do you hope people say about you when you're not around to hear it?
Uh, that I wish I was there.
Okay.
That they would prefer that I be there. Uh,
I see.
I always like to be thought of as a helpful, kind person. That's, I mean, you'd prefer people want you around, right?
Yeah. If you could go back in time and change one thing you've done or one thing you've experienced, what would it be and why?
Honestly, I wouldn't. And maybe that's a strange,
No,
thing to
no,
say.
no, no. It's our number one answer, but go ahead.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. The reason that I wouldn't is because if I'm happy with things as they are now, changing them in the past would have a different outcome, and I don't think I'd want that. I'm happy with things as they are. I've done a lot of things, and I've gone through a lot of trials to get where I am
Yeah.
now. I wouldn't
Mhm.
change that?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing that people will be surprised to learn about me is I like to read dystopian and alternative history fiction.
Okay.
A common trope in alternative history is what would happen if they went back and killed Hitler?
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
And not now on the surface, you say, well, yeah, Hitler was a madman, and he
Mhm.
inspired a movement that caused 8 million people or 13 million, depending which estimate you go by, to be
Mm.
murdered just for being born. Not to mention the 70 other million people who died as a result of the wars that he instigated
Mhm.
to further the goals he featured in that book. Now, here's the challenge. It comes up again and again in these stories: is somebody does go back and kill him. They either assassinate him before he comes to power, or
Mhm.
they make sure he was never born, or something like that. Well, then they come back in their little time machine back to the present day, and oh crap. Because what happens is, this is what people forget,
Mhm.
is he didn't create that. He
Mhm.
simply organized it and gave it a voice. There
Mhm.
were other organizers with public speaking charisma out there who could have stepped into that role. And some of them might have actually known how to run a war.
Oh.
Uh-huh. So
Yeah.
that goes back to
It's
the
a
whole
tough
butterfly
call.
effect theory. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so there's me. These are some of the things I think about, are some of the what ifs of history. And I have a
Mhm.
whole section on my bookshelf in my office that are all just all these what if books. And now you know the
Sure.
thing that might surprise people who know me, or maybe not,
No.
depending on how well they know me. Uh, Now,
Considering
speaking
these
of
questions, maybe
yeah,
not.
speaking of what ifs,
Uh-huh.
what famous person, alive or dead, would you like to meet, and what questions would you have for them if you had the opportunity?
I would love to ask Leonardo da Vinci how he came up with his ideas. I
Yeah.
would just love to know. Because, I mean, up until that point, from what I understand, no one had thought of things the same way that he did.
Mhm.
I was like, I always wondered, where did that come from? I mean, science fiction before there was science fiction.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was just always very curious about that.
Yeah, this guy was drawing diagrams of helicopters. I mean, he was
Yeah,
way before his time. So,
yes.
what motivates you, inspires you to keep going when you're having a tough time or facing a challenge?
Gratitude for what I do have. because I really feel that if I can be thankful for what I have in the moment, then I can't be upset with how I got there again. The whole I wouldn't go back and change anything.
Right.
Not that I haven't suffered. I mean, everyone suffers, but I just think that everything we go through makes us who we are. And if you have any regard for who you are now, you have to be grateful for the moments that made you that way.
Right. Right. So you have a gift for our listeners, and I'm going to share that with them in just a moment because I think it's pretty cool myself.
Sure.
But in general, right now, what is one action you would love our listeners to take as they finish streaming this episode?
The one big thing, listen intentionally. Because if you are intentional with your appreciation of being able to hear sound and understand how rare of an opportunity that is and how much of a miracle our ears actually are, it's just something that we should pay attention to and be grateful for, and really pay attention to noise pollution as well, because bad sound is a thing as well, and it can actually hurt our hearing. So just things to pay attention to. And your business it's a multi-dimensional thing. So don't just think of your visuals, also think of how you sound to your audience. All of that is a part of your brand DNA.
Right. So, first of all, thank you for joining us. And here is what you have to share. For those who are streaming this episode on our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com, you can see it on the YouTube stream right now. But I'll say it out loud for the folks who are out jogging right now. It's singular. Voice over voice.
Overs.
Oh boy.
Do you want me to say it?
No. See, this is where podcasting is fun because it's meta and we get to celebrate this stuff. Now that pattern interrupt has captured everybody's attention, that little nugget for you. The website is voiceoversandvocals.com/audio-branding-strategy. So voiceoversandvocals.com/audio-branding-strategy. And what you are going to find there are Jodi's top 5 tips for implementing an intentional audio strategy. Downloading this free PDF puts you on a mailing list for the podcast, of course, but you'd want to check that out anyway. She's also happy to give it to people directly. You just need to go to the website, voiceoversandvocals.com, and follow the contact information. So either way, I'm going to download it myself because I'm always looking for that slight edge in my business. Sure. And with that, Jodi Krangle, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been an honor and, believe me, an education.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Yep.
Thank you for tuning into the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast, where we celebrate entrepreneurs, business creators, and brilliant minds who are making a difference for their community, market, and audience. Remember to visit our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast.